Welcome back, junk journalers, to the Hyperstamper YouTube channel. This is Laura, and as promised, I have another Christmas junk journal. And I apologize that, well, I don't apologize, but the last time I put one on a few days ago, it sold in about an hour. And I have had a lot of emails asking if I'd be posting any more on Etsy. So this one will go up shortly after I do this video and post it. This beautiful book is very special because the book itself is from 1859, and I made this little label out of some fabric I pulled from a turn of the century wooden suitcase. I pulled the fabric off and I had some scraps left, so I made this little tag. And this Christmas Day newspaper piece I put and padded under there so it wouldn't perforate, I hope. And that's from the early 1900s. I just made this little tassel here out of some vintage chain and some tassel bits. And on the spine, I just put this piece of trim to partially cover the title, to keep it in its Christmas theme. The best part of this cover, though, besides the fact that, oh my gosh, look at the back too, I forgot to show you that. It's still got some of its gold embossing on it. It's stunning. I added this antique drawer pull, and that is from the 1800s, from an old dresser. It's a little heavy, and it makes it very significant. You do have to be careful if you're opening it on a glass top table, for example, that you don't crack it down. It is significant. Look at the inside cover. This was owned by Samuel V. White, 4th of December, 1859, and he wrote this lovely little, it's a poem. And I'm not going to read it because I think that's for you. I had the choice here of covering this up with some ribbon or lace, but I left it open because I actually like that you can see the original threading and the construction of the book. So I left that intact. If that bothers you and you own the book, you can certainly cover that up with a piece of ribbon. So let's start our little journey here. This is a little pocket that I made out of an antique book, and this is a antique postcard from 1917, and it's a Christmas postcard. It's actually a New Year postcard. And I just made this little miniature booklet here to do some extra journaling in. I did a little bit of hand stamping just to give it some color, because there's a lot of neutral in here, and I wanted it to be a bit more colorful than my normal journals because it's Christmas. And every single page in here is authentic antique ephemera, vintage as well, and a few tea-dyed pages that I hand stamped, but they're all Christmas themed. So it takes me a long time to find enough Christmas antique ephemera to make this big of a book. So let's take a look. You ready? Okay, so we did that page. This book is from A Christmas Carol here, and I left that blank so that you can add your own bits to this or do your painting or journaling on here. And this page is from a different book called All About Santa Claus, and this beautiful image on the flip side. This is a vintage doily that I found. It was still in the package, and we figure it's from about the 1960s. I just put a little bit of lace in here for flavor. And this is a vintage dictionary page put on top of an antique or vintage music book. And it's this one here. The cover has already been used, but look at this gorgeous book. Isn't that lovely? So that's from the 1930s. And this one says, God rest you merry gentlemen. And I tucked inside the pocket here just a little Christmas ad from a 1950s Needlepoint magazine. Isn't that fun? Let's see what's over here. This full page baby is from Frosty the Snowman book. And that's a lovely little children's page there, and it came from this 1950s book here. I love it. You can do lots of journaling on here as well. And then we have Jingle Bells. I didn't cover it up because I thought somebody might want this music. It's really quite beautiful. Jolly Old St. Nicholas up on the housetop. A little bit of, I found that word inside of a magazine. And again, that Santa Claus page. And look at this wonderful greeting card. I believe it's from about the 1930s. I don't know if the camera will catch it, but there's still the glitter on there. Can you see that? Isn't that beautiful? So what I did is I closed the bottom of the card on both sides so that I could make pockets. Okay, so this is blank inside. Actually, what they used to do is so they could reuse the cards, they would write their message on the inside. All it says on the inside when you look in here is the word Eileen. So Eileen sent this. And I made this tag here out of some vintage Christmas magazine papers. And this lovely sentiment in here. And on this side is from the publication called The Listener. And this is the Christmas edition, December 29, 1955. And look at this wonderful, whoops, sorry, let me flip it for you. It's very big, but it's the Christmas holiday entertainment spread. Is that fantastic? Look at these wonderful images. Just a wonderful piece of history for you there. And I'm going to slip that back in its new home. And this beautiful little vintage Christmas card. This is from another Christmas Carol book. It's a really hard cardstock page with some gold edging on it. Here is, it's not a Christmas book, it's a learn how to craft book, but it was red and green, so I wanted it in here. And when you flip it open, I made a pocket out of vintage doily green, Hunter green, hard to find. And I put in this 1930s postcard, and it's not a Christmas specific, but it is a beautiful snowy mountain, so I thought that was festive for winter time. And here on this side of the pocket, another one of these wonderful 1950s magazines. Sorry, I want to be very careful opening it here. Look at this. A luxury Christmas for modest budgets. Isn't that fun? And then more Christmas crafts you can do on the other side. Just a hoot, I say. And I made this little bangle. It is not old. It's a little glass Santa on there. But that ribbon is very old. The best of both worlds there. And let's see here. Oh, this is a lovely little page from a storybook, Snowy Pictures. And that is from a 1940s children's book. And this here is a 1970 Christmas seal, Easter seals, but it was for the Christmas season to raise money for the Heart and Stroke and Lung Association. And that's just some netting from the spine of a book. Here's another one of those wonderful images. Isn't that great? I just love them. Oh, these winter images. And again, the Christmas Carol. This is from a vintage craft book, and it's how to make Christmas presents. Look at this woman getting this wonderful present from a little girl here. And I made a pocket here out of an antique page so you could journal on there. And I just slipped in a Pearl Shop receipt from 1950s because it had red print on it. Thought that was festive. This is a piece of pattern tissue, and it was red and green, and I had never seen that before, so I'm using that in my Christmas journals this year. This page here, look at this beautiful, beautiful illustration, and this is from 1950s. It is a Polish book, but you can see here that it's got these wonderful images, and it's a very old book, but these images are just stunning. So I was able to pull some Christmas green and red images to use in my journals this year. And from 1893, one of the oldest things in the book, besides the book being 1859, is this wonderful Demarest magazine page. And it's a little boy in a sled. Isn't that sweet? I love it. And that's a wonderful page here that is called A Christmas Dinner, that book page. And the birthday of Jesus, there's another Christmas story book page. And another page over here with another vintage Christmas stamp. And another wonderful vintage magazine page. This one's probably not as old. This is probably the youngest thing in the book. It's probably from the 70s. It's got some cross-stitch patterns here for Christmas. And then these lovely images here, things to make at Christmas. And on the flip side is this vintage postcard, also from, I think, Poland, and that is from 1982. So only 40 years old, but super, super cheesy and fun. This, full disclosure, is not antique. I was gifted this little set of tiny Christmas images And so I wanted to use them because they were a gift. And this gorgeous, this gorgeous image here, Peace on Earth, Goodwill to Men, is from that Christmas Carol book here. And I pulled one of the full page images for that. And this lovely one is of the angels. And I think it is absolutely stunning. And then it's on the back of this I Heard the Bells on Christmas Day song sheet. And this is from the sweet little book that we all know and love. I'm trying to find the cover here in my pile for you. It is from The Night Before Christmas storybook, a tell-a-tale book. And that's a vintage book. So I've got these pages in here. Isn't that fun? And then this is another vintage storybook. This is lovely, very old. It's a Thought of the Day book. And we have December 22nd, 23rd, 24th. And then over here we have December 25th. It's really quite lovely and special. And it's the only one that I can use because that has Christmas Day on it. Over here we have another vintage stamp and some book spine. And this is one of the original pages from this 1859 book. I couldn't have done a better job tea dyeing it myself. Look at that. It's just fantastic. This is a wonderful little Christmas story page. Christmas games for cats. My kids and I howled when we saw that. And that is from a 365 stories, a 365 Days of Stories children's book from the 30s. And I made this pocket out of a vintage doily here. And I stuffed it with this vintage magazine page on how to make a nativity scene print from a print. And a 1944 winter photograph. And we think that this is from Mabel from the 1920s. Little Christmas card there. And this is from, I'll show you that in a sec. Beautiful little recipe page. Oh, there's the cover of that book. Isn't that fantastic? It's awesome. And that, again, is from this wonderful book that had all of the, the lovely images on the inside. More Christmas cookie recipes. And this is December 24th and December 25th, 1940 from the French almanac that I use in my journals. And here is another Christmas story. This one says on Christmas Eve. Another one of those little children's stories for the 10th day of Christmas there. And another wonderful page. Now be very careful if you own this book. I'm going to teach you how to do this now. You're going to flip this open, and then this is a plate from Currier and Ives from 1902. And this is called Central Park in Winter. And then when you flip it up very carefully, you're going to get the snowed up image here of the grouses in winter. And then here's a pocket here. And on here, let me see if you can see it. It says, whatsoever you would that men should do unto you, do ye even so to them, from the Bible. And then I made a little pocket here because it was red and green, and made a little tag out of some antique paper that says, fini, the end. Even though we're not quite at the end, we're pretty close here. So be careful turning that page. And that lovely image on the back. Another wonderful story, Christmas story from Mother Goose, 1940s. And another Santa Claus story. And then I just made a little lace pocket here and made this pull tag out of antique paper and antique book spine bit. A beautiful story from called The Young Toy Makers. And then this is the back of this book. So I left the page intact because I wanted it to say Happy Christmas to all and to all a good night. And I thought that was a great ending to this book. There's another little ending to a Christmas book here, the end, and a vintage Christmas stamp as well. And back here is another lovely little thing that you can have fun reading from. Somebody added it in 1863. So I am thrilled about this journal. I am going to be so sad when I have to put this in the mail for somebody, but it's really special. And if you want to see it, it is on Etsy as of this evening, July 25th, etsy.com/shop/. youtube.com/Hyperstamper with a capital H. Thanks, and visit again, and don't forget to subscribe.